clearly the 24-hour warning that Israel issued to people in Gaza to evacuate, that came and went without anything happening. What is the current situation between
Well,
Israel and Gaza?
well, on that particular point of the evacuations and the warnings, we're still waiting to see what will happen at the southern border, whether there will be any humanitarian relief allowed in, whether foreign nationals will be allowed to leave, whether a broader settlement, not settlement of the issue, but a broader agreement can be reached on the question of what to do with civilians in Gaza, whether they'll be allowed into Egypt or not. Those negotiations, which the US are kind of chairing remotely, if you like, involve Egypt, they involve Israel, of Qatar is opposed to the, has the best relations with Hamas of the pro-Western Arab states in the Middle East. Still no breakthrough on that.
And just give us a sense of what's happening with. There will still be, rocket attacks going in both directions. Is that right?
There are rocket attacks coming into Israel from Gaza. We had to take shelter last night when the sirens went off. The ones over the main, built-up areas like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, they all seem to have been intercepted by this amazing, Iron Dome defense system that the Israelis have. Meanwhile, the bombing of Gaza from the air by the Israeli Air Force is continuing. There have certainly been strikes overnight with scores of people killed, according to the Hamas and the health authorities in Gaza.
So into the middle of all that tomorrow, Joe Biden arrives. What realistically can the US president achieve?
It's a good question as to why he's going. There are probably several elements. I think he is there to stand alongside Israel for two reasons. One, to be cynical, is domestic political reasons. The pro-Israel feeling, as everyone knows, is strong in America, and he, like Obama before him, President Obama, came under strong attack from Trump, who he expects to face in the election next year for not being a strong enough supporter of Israel and not a strong enough enemy of Iran. So he's there to say, I am the friend of Israel. I have been a friend of Israel for decades, long before Trump knew where it was, and I will be here standing alongside Netanyahu. He's also, by doing that, sending a message to Iran, particularly, and anyone else who feels like getting involved in this conflict, like Hezbollah, to say, don't try it, we will stand behind Israel. Though, of course, what standing behind Israel means in this particular context is not quite clear.
The King of Jordan has said this morning that the whole region is on the brink of falling into the abyss. Israel's neighbours obviously watching this nervously, watching this closely. How concerned should listeners be right now about this spreading beyond the borders of Israel?
I think they should be very concerned. The first issue, of course, is whether Hezbollah will join in. It's a very close ally of Hamas. It was almost certainly, in my view, involved in the planning of this operation. Certain aspects of this operation, the sophistication of it and the style of it, are things that we associate with Hamas. And key figures involved in planning it, we believe, a Hamas operative called Salah al-Aruri has been seen regularly in Beirut recently. The question is, will Hezbollah get in to save its ally from destruction? If it does, then Lebanon is drawn into that war, possibly Syria as well. Hezbollah have bases in Syria now, then does Iran stand by while its proxies get bombed by Israel? Does Israel let that happen without taking, retaliatory action against Iran, who it regards as the font of all evil? So, that is. And then the other Arab states are caught in the middle of that because they don't like Hamas, but they don't like Iran. But the populations of those countries are obviously very pro-Palestinian.
And just finally, this, I know it's harder to get information on this, but what is you understand is the situation in Gaza? I mean, we've talked about 1,400 Israelis have been killed. The airstrikes, the Israeli airstrikes in Gaza, sort of killed some 2,800 Palestinians. The UN is warning that its humanitarian operation is on the verge of collapse. Hospitals set to run out of fuel within 24 hours. What picture can you bring us of the situation in Gaza?
It's very grim. A lot of people have heeded those Israeli warnings and fled south. But of course, that just creates a humanitarian crisis rather than a crisis of people being bombed. So yes, there are 1 million people in that southern little bit of Gaza. This is a very, so a small area within a small area, running out of water, even suddenly running out of, they've run out of fuel, they've run out of electricity. They have limited food supplies. Water is actually one of the key things at the moment. That's why the US wants to get humanitarian aid in from Egypt, just on the other side of that border, but that isn't happening at the moment. It's pretty grim. I mean, we are speaking to people there. It's pretty grim scenes, both for ordinary civilians who are packed into, schools and hospitals for shelter, sleeping in their cars and so on, and in the hospitals, which are overwhelmed, obviously, with the numbers of dead and injured, and themselves running out of fuel for their generators and running out of medicines and supplies.